Hello. How you doing? So we're going to talk about how to navigate sheet music in this video. So for some people, you probably haven't seen notation before, or scores, or piano conductor scores for that matter. You don't need to get too intimidated by it because you can also use your ears. You don't have to sort of rely solely on the sheet music, but it can be a really nice skill to learn how to read music. And you're halfway there if you know how to read a book. So hopefully it won't be too difficult. Okay, so we're going to go here to our music, and this is the sheet music for my shot. Okay, so what's important to know is that let's just cover some basics of what we actually see on the screen. Get rid of my ruler. These cross notes, they mean that they're unpitched. You don't sing them, also known as rapping. Okay, so if you actually follow along to the track and hear that in the recording, you'll notice that they're not going, "I'm laughing in my face." It's more of an off-pitch, non-singing, as I said, rapping. Not even quotation marks, it is rapping. That's what it is. So, which is a huge component to the hip-hop genre and largely the genre of Hamilton. Okay, so the musical is Hamilton, FYI. And Lin-Manuel Miranda is the composer, the writer. I believe the book writer as well. So let's look at a few other things. You'll see that some notes don't have a cross. They actually have colored in circles. They are notes. They are pitched notes, so you can actually find them on a piano. This note here is a D, just above middle C. And I am... Okay. So far, that's fine. You know, we're just covering some of the symbols, yeah? We also have these unusual symbols, which are not really circles or crosses. They're referred to as rests. So they're actually, they're silence. Because in the world of music, there are many events occurring at the same time. And some events are going to be silent and some events are going to be making sound. So if we look a little deeper into this, we can actually see that the sheet music is telling us what is occurring at the same time. So as you can... as I alluded to before about reading a book, the sheet music, we're going to read from left to right. That's fine. But instead of reading this left to right and then going to this line and then going to this line and then going to this line, you see? So it's not exactly like that. Instead of reading one line, which you would in a book, here there are several lines occurring at the same time. So it's like you've got to be reading like 5 lines at the same time. Now, you don't have to be doing that, but someone like me, who's musical director, repetitor, accompanist, I'm looking at a piece of music like this and I'm kind of surveying the land and trying to read as much content as possible at the same time. But if we break this down a little bit, so we're reading from left to right, yeah? There's a spine here, there's a vertical spine that joins all the events that are intended to occur at the one time. So when you're reading this, you're actually going to read all of this going left to right. Now, of course, once you've familiarized yourself with it, you don't have to keep reading it. But just so you know what we've got here, music is traditionally put on what we call a 5-line stave. Okay, so when you have a group of 5 lines, we call them a stave. So this is a stave, that's a stave, that's a stave. They're not limited by that pink box. The stave occurs across the whole way. Okay, so we only see 5 lines, but in theory, the lines go for infinity, okay? Because we don't need to get too much into music theory, but the musical alphabet is a recurring loop. So because it cycles around and the letters repeat again from A to G, the lines and spaces can keep going, okay? So you'll only ever have notes on lines or spaces. So here's a line, and here's a space. So I've got some more music theory videos. You can YouTube music theory with Daniele, and you can find some more fundamental music theory videos that should help you with this. But for now, it's just about learning how to actually read the score. Not all musical theater performers, industry professionals, know exactly how to read specific notation, but they know how to navigate the score in a very basic sense. So that way, when they get into a musical, they can read the score or the libretto, the back portion of the script, and they can follow along with the musical director. But ideally, they're reading a piano conductor score because it's going to provide a lot more information. Okay. So, as I said, a group of 5 lines is a stave. Yeah. Now we've got several staves here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, just so for context, the first stave is for the lead rapping. The second stave, actually, I've whited it out, but it's actually for some supporting leads, which we won't do because we're not doing the show Hamilton. And these stave 3 and 4 is actually the ensemble staves. So that's what you're looking at. And they're joined by a thicker bracket. Okay, so traditionally that is for soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Okay, so what that means is that they're different vocal types. So when you're looking at those 2 staves, your voice will be plotted on a note in one of those 2 staves. So they're condensed into those 2 staves. Not only that, so we've got leads, we've got supporting leads, we've got soprano, alto, and then tenor bass. So soprano, alto takes the top stave of those 2, and then tenor bass takes the second stave of those 2. We then have 2 other staves beyond that with many, many, many more notes. So that is actually the piano stave. So if I was reading the score, I would look at these. That's what that is telling me, the first 2 bars, okay, which I haven't even told you what a bar is. So as you can see, there are many more notes because the pianist has 10 fingers. Just, I guess humans do, right? So, but yeah, the pianist can play many notes at the same time, which is pretty cool. So what you need to know is that, I'm going to clear some of this. These events are occurring at the same time, okay? So the rapping and the music is occurring at the same time. When the several staves are combined by a vertical spine, we call that a system. So, good question to ask yourself here is how many systems are on this page? We've got 1 spine and we've got 2 spines. So that would indicate that we have 2 systems on the page. And a system is a group of several staves, as I mentioned. A system is a grouping of multiple staves. So the multiple staves are occurring simultaneously. Okay, these events are all occurring at the same time. That's when you get songs like this, which are awesome, so heavily orchestrated and amazing ensemble vocals and lots of things going on. Is what makes it so interesting. Let alone there's a whole band playing at the same time, you know. So there's even more stuff that's not on this music. So right now we have first system and second system. This is important because sometimes it might say, hey, we're going to go from the second system. Yeah, or no, we're going to go from the first system. And that way you can go, oh, I know what a system is. It's combined by that vertical line. All right, cool. Second system. Done. No issues. So let's break it down even more. A system is made up of, or rather music is made up of, music has to occur through time. Okay, so as you can open up a song on iTunes Music or whatever app you use, you can see the time going along, the music happening, right? Most commonly, that time can be divided into beats, okay? So most common pop music can be divided into groups of 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we use, rather than just having all those beats in succession on the music, we actually create little divisions throughout the music every 4 beats for this specific song anyway. And to create that division, we use what's called a bar line. Okay, so you'll notice that the bar line doesn't actually continue through here. It doesn't continue through here or here. That's just an aesthetic choice, but you need to know that it's still combined at the spine, so it's still part of the system. But this is a bar line, which means that anything between 2 bar lines is a bar. So the sort of take home there is that a piece of music can be divided into several bars. And then in musical theatre, it's common to have actual what number bar it is. So as you sort of explore your journey through musical theatre, it can be quite great to learn how to talk to your musical director or talk to another vocalist and say, oh, can we go from bar 133? Or what's occurring at 134? Or I can't seem to get that note that's occurring at 141 or whatever it is. So I'm struggling with pitch, you know, that sort of stuff. So Just so you know, obviously this starts at 1:33 because the vocals come in at 4 minutes 56 seconds in the track, so it's actually far down the track. So that's good to know. Okay, so we have bar lines, we have bars, we've got systems, we've got staves. It's all just effectively, all you're doing is reading left to right. That's kind of all you need to know. You're just reading left to right. And I've sort of drawn over all the music I'm about to teach you with, but that's okay. So we read from left to right. We go, not throwing away my shot. We turn the page. Just like my country. So we read this stave. And then we go to this system. And then we go to this system. And then we go to this system. Okay? And then we end here. So the main kind of task here for me to show you is just to break it down a little bit more. You can watch this video a few times, or you can YouTube Music Theory with Daniele, and that should provide you with a bit more information. You don't need to know all of this, by the way. It's just so you don't get too intimidated by the music, especially if this is the first time looking at music. If it's not, great. You can use this to kind of further explore your skills, build your skills. If you're a bit intimidated, feel free to write down your questions, and maybe when we get together, we can explore them. For the most part, this excerpt is pretty short. So once you learn the music, once you learn how it goes, you can just put the music aside. You don't need to use it anymore. Okay, so that's quite an important skill that you'll eventually learn with more training, is that we use the music for a certain period of time, and then once you're done with it, just put it away, because you're gonna have to go dancing. And of course, I'm yet to see a musical. It would be really interesting to see Hamilton with everyone holding scores in their hands. So your job is to memorize it as best as possible. Memorize the words, memorize the notes, memorize the timing, memorize the structure of the song, memorize when you're coming in. And then on top of that, know the choreo, the style, the counts, the groove, whatnot. And then on top of that, implement what your musical director wants, because it's not just timing and notes. The musical director wants more than that, articulation, phrasing, line, a lot of things. We might not be able to delve too much into that, but we'll do our best. Okay, so with a song like this, it's going to be very fun. And I forgot to say we'll notifications, but here we are. So all the best, happy learning, and I'll see you in the next video.